What is up, 2K crew? Yes, it is podcast day, and 2Ks, we've got a fantastic show, don't we?
Yes, sir.
All right. If obviously the title of the show is baseball, 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 so we're gonna talk about some motherfucking baseball, and we're gonna play a little game, kind of shake things up a little bit. So lock in, get in those seats because you have found the Turbo and 2K.
It's the Turbo and 2K show.
And to be honest with you, the start of the Major League season is really, really intriguing. Kind of seeing some injuries rear their ugly head, but beyond that, there's been some really, really good baseball. And for those of you that have been following, they did change the baseball this year, so they're hoping to keep the ball inside the park. But for some players, 2Ks, that hasn't been the case.
Nope.
Has not been the case. So if you are finding us for the first time, my name is Ryan Turbo Jackson. I'm the host of this shindig, and across the desk from me is my talented and awesome co-host, Mr. Kyle 2Ks Kaler. And we give our amateur opinion on everything sports. So if you're listening on the podcast, go ahead and give the podcast a follow because we don't do subscriptions on podcasts anymore because everyone thinks it costs money. But it is free to follow, and that helps us out a lot. And if you're watching on the YouTube side, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? If you have any questions, concerns, want to pipe in on the conversation, go ahead and drop us a comment, and I'll feature you on the show. And for the YouTube community, go ahead and like, subscribe, and share this video along with all your friends because, well, we're just that awesome, and everyone really needs to hear us. So if you want to support the channel beyond that, go ahead and go to buyturboabeer.com and go ahead and support that. And we'll feature you on the show. So 2Ks, we did a baseball show last week, but we kind of threw in some other stuff to wrap up some loose ends. So this is we kind of planned this out to be just a strictly baseball show, which that's well within mine and your wheelhouse. This is our shit. So we kind of gave I kind of got your first impressions with the Tigers, and to kind of go along that, the Tigers had a really good series in Houston. To be honest with you, they kind of shocked me, A, with the pitching, and B, timely hitting. I mean, they're not hanging 8 or 9 or 10 runs every game.
Except for the Houston series.
Yeah.
I mean, that just was out of nowhere.
Yeah, and for them to do it against a team like Houston it's pretty much the same team as last year except for Springer's gone. So I know how that can kind of mess with the dynamics. He's been their leadoff hitter for the last few years now, and rightfully so. But they have this dude named Altuve, who before they had Springer hitting leadoff, that's who their leadoff hitter was. So kind of went back to old hat, and they've been tooling right along. And if you're any kind of Tigers fan, you know historically they don't play well on the West Coast or even in Houston or anywhere. It seems when they get into that time zone for whatever reason, historically they don't play well. And we're kind of seeing that once they hit Oakland.
Yep. And
not to take anything away from Oakland because they're a fabulous ball club, but it seems to me that they're right now in the season they might be a little bit better than Houston. Obviously, the last game of the series 2K, Houston was out without a lot of their 5 of their starting 9 because of what's going on. And we're taking a peek at the White Sox Red Sox game, and the Red Sox uniforms are absolutely fucking horrendous. I was waiting to see these, and I was kind of stoked. And I can't remember what they're calling these, but they are horrible. Horrible. They look like UCLA colors. And
why? I mean, that's my problem. Why are they wearing these?
I did see along the. I can't remember what I was watching, but they said what these uniforms were for. So might have to Google it and just kind of see what the hell's going on with them. But they're if you're not watching MLB Network or whatever channel this is on, they are bright yellow with blue accents and white pants. And like I said, look like UCLA Bruins colors. and absolutely no red on any, and they have baby blue caps, which to me look horrible. I'm not even, like I said, I'm once we get 2Ks in here, I'll Google it to kind of see what the hell's going on here. But kind of overall MLB 2Ks. Give me your, like I said, it's still, the season's still relatively new. I mean, we're just, I mean, hell, we're not even out of April yet. So kind of the first month's impressions, what's kind of caught your eye? What are you keeping a lookout for? Maybe some disappointing starts, awesome starts. And while you're doing that, I'll see what the hell's going on with Boston's uniforms.
Yeah, the first thing that just kind of pops up to me that's intriguing is just some of these battles that there's going to be in these divisions. The first one that kind of pops off to me is the AL West. You know, I don't think a lot of people expected the Angels to get up to the start that that they've gotten off to so far. I think most people thought, oh, Houston will be there, and Oakland will be another team that could probably fight to win that, or right into that wild card spot. And then Seattle comes out of nowhere, and the start that they have going on. So there's 4 teams there that I think are really good baseball teams in that division alone. So I look forward to watching that division. But then you go over to the National League, and I look at like the National League East, and I think most people kind of counted the Mets especially with the Lindor and move and some of the other moves that they made in the offseason. The Mets would would be that team there, and also the Braves. But the Braves have kind of been so far the worst team in that division as far as they just, other than Ronald Acuna Jr., who's probably playing the best baseball of anybody on the planet right now.
Oh, God. The kid is hitting the cover off the ball.
But nobody else on his team is. Nobody else on his team has really done anything. Freddie Freeman's been
kind of got off to a slow start.
Yeah. Albies hasn't done anything. Their pitching has been horrendous. And kind of a team that's shocking everybody right now is the Marlins. What the Marlins are doing. And, I mean, we got a chance when you were over at the house last night, we were watching the Marlins play, and they're kind of a fun team to watch. They just play with they're young and they play with a spark. And I don't know if that'll ride through the whole season.
Sure.
Eventually, I think maybe the talent will start to. They're not there talent-wise with some of these other teams, and that'll probably start to show. But right now, watching them play and just kind of with the energy that they bring to the ballpark, especially with that rookie and Jazz Chisholm.
It's your boy. That's your boy.
Pretty much since the first time I've watched him, I was like, man, I really like that kid. He's just got that it factor,
He's got the flair. He's got a great glove. Even for a dude that's probably 120 pounds soaking wet with boots on, has some pop in his bat.
Yeah.
I mean, and he's fast and plays a great second base. So, and you're right, the Marlins are sitting at 7-7 right now, and traditionally they've been the cellar dwellers of that division. So, who knows? And they're doing all of this with, Jazz is probably their most recognizable player right now. They don't have any like household name players, and as we've seen, Mr. Jeter has kind of destructed this team, and hell, maybe he knows more than what we thought. Because looking back, they could still have Stanton, they could still have Yelich, which a lot of folks in the MLB circle were like, Jeets just gave these guys away. So maybe Jeets knows what the hell he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the contract that Stanton has, and I mean, Stanton is a great player when he's on the field.
Yeah, that's
but
the biggest.
He hasn't been able to
bugaboo.
be on the field for the Yankees consistently in the entire time that he's been there. So is he worth the money? I say no.
No.
And the Christian Yelich one, that one hurts a little bit because he has won MVPs and he has been for the most part healthy there. Yeah, I get it. He had a terrible season last year in the short season, but
there's a lot of cats that
yeah, exactly. So that one hurts a little bit, but people saying that Stanton deal was terrible for the Marlins. I think Stanton's pretty overrated in my opinion. Not to take anything away from what he is as far as a hitter and his power numbers go, but if you're not healthy, then can't do anything when you're not on the field. So
yeah, the best ability is durability, and you're absolutely right. And one of my big takeaways so far has been the Yankees being. I'm not even going to say mediocre.
Yeah.
I mean, we all kind of expected going into the season that their pitching was going to be a little lackluster, and that's been the case. That's been the case. And it's on top of that, I mean, they're not hitting. They're one of their big offseason acquisitions, Jay Bruce, just decided to retire today. I mean, he was off to a horrible start in a pinstripe uniform. And I know there's a lot of Yankees fans out there, but to me, I love it. I love it. And on the complete flip side, who would have ever thought that any point in the season the Red Sox would be leading that division? Mm-hmm. You talk about and we haven't even seen Chris Sale yet. Alex Verdugo is hitting the cover off the ball. I mean, you can't keep that kid off base. And you look back earlier this week, I think it was earlier this week, JD went deep 3 times in a game. Devers went deep twice the same game. And this is production that we didn't see last year. Mm-hmm. I mean, granted, to kind of speak to your point with Yelich, I mean, a lot of the Boston offense was like that. And to do all of this without signing any major off-season free agents, and besides Kiki Hernandez, which to me is a great utility player, but he's not going to swing your, that's not a big signing in my opinion. Didn't do hardly anything to strengthen the bullpen, but like you and I were talking about last night, I think they got the key piece back in Alex Cora. Mm-hmm. And to answer the question about the uniforms, it was the team is wearing special yellow and blue uniforms as a part of Nike's MLB City Connect series, becoming the first of 7 clubs to debut the set during the 2021 season. The jerseys capture the color scheme of the Boston Marathon, which is held annually on Patriots Day in the city. So that is why they're wearing them. I couldn't remember why, or I obviously couldn't remember why because we had to Google it. But there's your answer. There's your answer. What the hell would we do without Google, 2Ks? The hell would we do? And it's even as a Red Sox fan, like I said, I was expecting just maybe a 500 season, which again, we're probably jumping the boat here and kind of putting the cart before the horse. But I guarantee if your Tigers were in first place, you'd be excited.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. So I'm definitely excited. Like I said, there's maybe it just goes to show you how much better Cora makes that team and how good of a manager he actually is. Not to take anything from Ron Renicky last year, but even going into it, he even a lot of Red Sox insiders said he really didn't want the job. So, and going back to that, the trade of Mookie Betts, just the kind of aura of the team, we kind of knew that they weren't going to be super competitive.
Yeah, and I feel like when they traded Mookie, almost for a lot of people, it was like, well, Boston's just kind of throwing the towel in, and people kind of forgot about him. And you can't forget they still have very good, proven big league players on that team, like your JD Martinez, who's been swinging probably the best bat on that team in the beginning of the season.
Him and Verdugo both.
Yeah. Xander Bogaerts has been really good this year also. So yeah, there's very good players there. Rafi Devers is still there. So a lot of good players on that team. That's a team that I don't think they're going to go away. I don't think they're just going to disappear in that division.
Knock on wood, barring injuries, of course. Yeah.
And I don't think that there's really, really good teams in that division. I don't think that there's a team that I think it's just going to walk away with it. As far as I look at every single team there, and there's, to me, there's holes in their lineups. I don't like the Yankees pitching. Tampa's I'm not a big fan of their offense. Toronto, I like their offense. They're up and coming, but I hate their pitching. So I just don't think that there's anybody that's going to run away with that division. So I think going into the playoffs, Boston's going to be right there in consideration to take a spot there.
Yeah, I'm like I said, as a Red Sox fan, I'm super stoked. And again, even they with the trade of Benintendi, which I want to say he's batting around 220, so he just kind of picked up where he left off last year, which is unfortunate because he was so well received in Boston, and it was kind of hard to see him struggle because he was kind of a that fan favorite, everyone that wanted to, and he was a great kid. So I'm definitely not trying to throw shade on him because it wasn't his decision to leave, obviously, but it's gonna be it's someone that I'm definitely gonna keep an eye on, just to kind of see what's going on. And speaking of keeping an eye on things, 2Ks, let's talk about our little game. let's talk about our little game here. And if I, for all of you watching and listening, I did have kind of a busy weekend, so we kind of won't go into that quite yet, but I should have had all kinds of cool slides and everything else for the YouTube crew, but I was lazy and I didn't. So we're still gonna go ahead and do this. So the name of the game, actually, hell, I didn't even give it a name. But what 2Ks and I are gonna do is we're gonna pick a rookie, a vet, a pitcher, and a team that we're going to keep an eye on this year. Kind of maybe some of our favorite players, some of the players we're super excited about, a team we're excited about. The only rule is 2Ks is when it comes to the team, we can't pick one of our favorite teams. So I can't pick the Red Sox, you can't pick the Tigers. And let's get started with, let's kind of build up to the sexiness. So let's start off with the pitcher. And it can be American League or National League. And kind of give me the name of the pitcher and kind of why you're excited about them and what you're kind of expecting from them.
Yeah, pitcher, I'm going to go with, I don't know if anybody would remember who I picked to win the Cy Young last year when we did our, way too early picks for everything.
Which those are coming, 2K crew,
Yeah.
Don't worry. Because we always do that and we're always wrong, but that's okay.
Kind of going into last year, not knowing if there was going to be a season, with everything going on, but looking to his rookie season, Jack Flaherty, and just how I thought as a rookie he already had looked like one of the best pitchers in the league, and really thought last year he was just gonna kind of put himself in that conversation with maybe 3 or 4 other guys in the league. Had a terrible season, and like we talked about though, short season, a lot of people didn't really have good years. But I think this year is going to be a bounce back year for him. I think it's very important that he has that year because that's going to be a division that if he doesn't pitch well, I don't think that St. Louis will be able to win that. I think there's other teams that are better than them, but if he pitches really well, they can kind of put a staff around him. Would not surprise me if the Cardinals ended up winning that division.
Yeah, and I'm right there with you because that's one of those. That's a division that's really going to be fun to watch. It's going to be fun to keep an eye on, and I mean that NL Central's always. It seems like it always comes down to the last week or last couple weeks of the season to see who's going to take home the crown, and maybe we've seen kind of perennially at least one wild card team come out of that division. So yeah, I'm right there with you. I like watching that kid pitch. And 2020 was just kind of a fucked up year for everything. Let's just let's call a spade, and and it really is anyone's division to kind of take. Cincinnati's off to a great start, and shockingly enough, without Trevor Bauer, and that's kind of going to lead me into my pitcher of choice, which is going to be Mr. Trevor Bauer.
Fuck him.
Kind of twofold because A, I know I'm doing it just to kind of irritate you, but B, well, kind of threefold. He's been lights out so far, and kind of want to see how he, continues with this team and kind of continues to see. I want to see, if he's going to put his money where his mouth is, and C, he's just a lightning rod for content. So kind of keeping up with him throughout the season is going to be quite easy because he does bring a lot of the spotlight and a lot of things on himself. So as a content creator, which we are 2Ks, I'm taking the easy route. And like I said too, it'll be kind of fun to bring it up and irritate you. So that is my pitcher of choice. Now my rookie probably isn't going to surprise a lot of folks, but I'm going Bobby Dahlbeck of the Red Sox. Start the season and even in spring training, swinging a great bat, playing a great first base, and filling a hole that the Red Sox really need is a first baseman. Mitch Moreland is not there, and we were watching him last night, and I've always been a Mitchie Two Bags fan, even going back to when he was with the Rangers. We'll play you a Gold Glove first base every year, every year, and timely hitting. He's not going to hit 260s, probably going to hit around 240, maybe 20 home runs and around that 80 RBI mark. But when you can pencil him in every day, that's huge. That's huge. So to have Dahlbeck kind of grab that by the reins and just kind of take off with it. And to be honest with you, you mentioned kind of the people that are still there in Boston. There's really not a lot of pressure on him. Just go out, play, hit the ball, and life's going to be good. But this kid has major upside, and I had to get a little bit of taste of my Red Sox in there. But who is your rookie that you're looking out for?
Yeah, I'm kind of taking the same route as you. I wanted to get a little bit of a taste of my own team also with the Tigers, so I went with Akil Baddoo.
That's a very good choice.
Nobody was talking about him at all going into the season.
I didn't even know who the fuck he was.
He was a Rule 5 draft pick. To tell you the truth, I didn't even really follow it. I knew that they'd picked him up in the Rule 5 draft, but I just figured that he was kind of going to be that. Maybe it works out. Maybe he's a guy that they just leave in the lineup.
And for those that don't understand the Rule 5, can you kind of give a brief?
Yeah, so when you sign somebody in the Rule 5 draft, you have to keep them on your everyday roster, your 26-man roster, throughout the entire season. You can't send him if you choose to send him back, down to AAA, then he can go back to the team which in his case would have been the Twins that had him. He has to go back to Minnesota, and the Tigers lose him. So, but once he stays this entire calendar season, going into the next season, he has all of his options. So then next year, if things aren't going well for him, he's not playing well, needs to go down, and kind of start over or something, he can go. The Tigers can send him down, and he'll have all of his options.
Sure.
But no, as far as with this Baddoo kid, he makes his major league debut, hits a home run.
First pitch.
Yeah. Comes back the next day, hits a grand slam. Comes back the third day, hits a walk-off. Not a walk-off home run, but a walk-off. I mean, it would have probably been a double down the line, sharp hit down the line. And it was just like, for us Tigers fans, the Tigers have been struggling basically all season with the exception of a couple games against Houston offensively. But he was like the spark in the lineup.
Sure.
And then fast forward, you go through some great games. He played really good in that Houston series, but then you watch him in the first couple games against Oakland, and he's struck out 6 times in his last 6 at-bats. And so the question for me now is, does he stick, or does he, does this fade away? And by 2 months from now, is that first week of his career, is that forgotten?
Right.
And that's what I'm excited to see, because I think that he's got some holes in his swing. I think he's got a very long swing, and I think that's gonna cause a lot of strikeouts. So he's gonna have to learn to shorten that up. But he also has power to all parts of the field,
which is shocking
for a 22-year-old kid. It's very intriguing to watch. And he's very good. He's a plus defensive outfielder. He just brings spark, and I think that he brings spark to a lineup that's lacking spark, because that's what I think the Tigers have been missing for a few years now. And so somebody like, even when you going back to the Tigers when they were good, I thought they've always kind of missed that spark in their lineup. So I hope that this kid could bring it, and maybe potentially down the road could be a leadoff batter for him
with some pop,
with his speed and with some pop. Yeah. So I hope it works out, and I'm intrigued to watch him throughout this season.
Yeah, and I'm right there with you, and I'm sure every Tigers fan is like, fuck yeah. I mean, it was definitely a shot in the arm. We already said neither one of us knew who the hell he was. So, and it's very unrealistic to think that he could keep that pace up. I mean, it's one of those things where I have a very good feeling that every team they've faced so far haven't had much film on them. Now they got some film on them. And they're kind of exposing those holes that you were talking about. Now let's see if Hinch and their hitting coach can help fix those, because I know it's cliche, but baseball is a game of adjustments, and it's every plate appearance, every time you go out defensively, pitch by pitch. It's we're seeing probably the last 4 or 5 years more defensive shifts than ever before in baseball. Whether that's cool or not, that's a topic for another discussion. But we're just pointing shit out here. Is that it's sometimes a pitch by pitch adjustment. So to have this kid come on the scene like gangbusters and basically shit on every pitch that he's seen, is that going to continue? No. Now, I will kind of liken it to, and let me know if you agree, Brendan Bosch. He kind of did the same thing. Came out of spring training hot. No one knew who the hell he was. And again, another left-handed bat. Obviously, the body types are way different. Brendan Bosch was very, very big, and Madu plays a way better outfield than Bosch ever would. But just kind of see ball, hit ball, And when you have the approach like that, especially as a young kid, they interviewed AJ Hinch, and he's like, "Well, what did you say to him going up to that first at bat?" And he's like, "Well, I asked him if he was nervous," and he goes, "No, coach, I'm excited. It's baseball." Okay, I know I would be scared shitless.
Yeah,
and yeah, it's in my opinion, the first couple weeks is just see ball, hit ball, keep it simple. Don't overswing, and that's one of the things I'm kind of impressed about is having this start that he's had. You would see a lot of young kids just try to go deep every single time, and he's not doing that. Like you said, the game-winning single, he could have easily overswung and tried to hit a home run when all you need is just a single to get the run.
And most guys his age do overswing in that situation.
Absolutely. So yeah, I'm right there with you. Like I said, he's one of those guys I want to succeed, regardless what team he's on. He just, to me, looks like a wholesome kid that wet behind the ears, and maybe ignorance is bliss. Yeah. Maybe ignorant. Keep it simple, see ball, hit ball, and once the league starts making adjustments, then all right, let's take the next step. This is, instead of this big swoopy swing. Let's go right to contact. So,
yeah, and then you going back probably 4 or 5 months ago when I saw that the Tigers had picked him up in the Rule 5 draft. I'm pretty big time into collecting Tigers cards. So I was like, I'm gonna look into a Badu card, see if he's got any out there. So, and found one on eBay. It was a first Bowman autograph Badu Chrome. First Bowman Chrome, and
for those of you who don't know, their first Bowman, any player's first Bowman card is their first printed card. Yeah. So it's normally a pretty big deal because it's these cards come out when they're prospects, whereas with Topps or even any of the Panini products, they have to have a rookie year under to be a quote unquote rookie in those series, they have to have major league time. So when it comes to Bowman, which is also a Topps product, let's be honest, but when it comes to the Bowman, it's basically you're chasing prospects at that point. So just to kind of clarify for our non-card collectors out there.
So I see one on there, and guy, I believe he was selling it for $10. It was listed for $10. I'm like, I ain't paying $10 for some guy I'd never heard of, even though it was an autograph card and it was Bowman Chrome and first Bowman Chrome. And so I offered him $4. And he counter offered me $6, and I was like, fuck you, I ain't doing that. So I just rejected it, walked in, and I just forgot about it. That card's selling now for like $150.
2Ks. Yeah. Well, you did hit a very, very awesome Miguel Cabrera autograph card, so I think that kind of makes up for it.
Yeah,
I think that kind of makes up for it. But no, I'm with this current Tigers team, I'm excited to watch them. And I without having Fox Sports Detroit, I don't get a whole lot of games, but it is very exciting when I do get to watch them. And our video is gone down, so give me a second here, guys. All right, 2Ks. Let's talk about the vet that you picked.
Yeah, I talked about this last night. This guy is just, in my opinion, right now, you basically can't miss. You got to watch every single at bat. It seems like every time he steps into the plate, you want to watch him. We talked a lot here in the last month or so about Fernando Tatis being the face of baseball, and always talking about Mike Trout. And I feel like this guy we've just kind of forgotten about. We haven't talked about him a whole lot, and that's Ronald Acuna Jr. And with what he's doing, just watching him what he brings to the ballpark every single day. I mean, right now he's the best home run hitter in the game. He's one of the fastest guys in the game. Stolen bases
He beat
numbers
out
are
an
up.
infield
Yeah.
single.
He's phenomenal outfielder. Got a great arm. I mean, he's that 5-tool player that can be. I'm not gonna say he is Mike Trout caliber, but he's
Damn near
He's
close.
in that conversation. He can be in that conversation. And another young kid that we're gonna be blessed to watch him play for, hopefully 15, 20 more years. So, but yeah, he's gonna be the guy that I want to basically follow the rest of the year. And plus I've always have said it. Tigers are my team, but the Braves are they're my National League team. So
Yeah.
they're off to a shitty start right now, though.
Yeah, they're like you talked about earlier on. It's their pitching's been sketchy. Acuna's been basically shouldering the
Their
whole
offense.
load. It seems like lately, or at least to start the season with Freddie Freeman, he either hits a home run or doesn't get a hit.
Yeah.
Which Freeman's way better of a player. He's going to get back to Freddie Freeman style, and it's just a matter of time. Albies is starting to come around. So, as far as that offense is concerned, I mean, Marcell Ozuna is starting to put it together. In historically, it's something that you and I we've talked about kind of extensively. Is Latin players usually heat up when the weather gets warm, and it's. I know it's a blanket statement that I'm putting out there, but for the vast majority of them, it's true. So to see Ozuna or Acuna to get off to this hot of a start is pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. He is flamboyant. He's charismatic. I mean, some of the games that the Braves have won, they've had to win by comeback, and it's been either a timely hit by Acuna or a home run to get that offense started, and he'll just run down the line and just pump his team up however he can. He's basically the whole adrenaline for that team. And how long can he sustain this? I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. And yes, he's probably, you can't argue that Trout's the best player in baseball. I mean, that's hands down. But is he 1A, 1B? Sure. I'd put him right up there. That's again a discussion we can have on a later show. Is who would you rather have to start your franchise? Acuna, at his price tag, which for those who don't know, sounds like a 10-year, $100 million contract.
Yeah.
To kind of put that into perspective. Trout's contract's what, $450 or something ridiculous.
Over, I think, 12 years. So
Yeah.
just adding.
So granted,
Trout's going to be playing his contract into his 40s. Acuna's going to be playing his contract into his low 30s.
Yeah.
Like,
So he definitely has it reminds me a lot of what Albert Pujols did with the Cardinals. Very young, and just signs basically the same contract. And right along with him is going to be his partner, Ozzie Albies. So those two players are going to be in Atlanta for, at least a decade. So it's going to be exciting to see. The Braves are as long as those two guys are there, they're going to be a playoff team, World Series contender. It's just a matter of how the Braves can construct that team around them. And with Freddie Freeman being in a walk year this year, do they re-sign him? If so, how much? So it's that's something that on top of the whole Acuna watch, which the kid is absolutely magnificent. What are they going to do? Are they going to extend Freeman during the season? Are they going to wait till the off season? Are they even going to let him even test the free agent waters? And if I'm Atlanta, I sign the dude. I sign him. To me, obviously won the NL MVP, which there was a story that went around because going back, Freddie was very young coming up, and while Chipper Jones was kind of in the later part of his career, so they did play together. They did play together for I think 2 seasons, and so they've become hunting buddies. They're best friends, and there was a story that came out that obviously Chipper being kind of the quote unquote older brother always gives Freddie shit. So Freddie wins the NL MVP. Chipper calls him. Congratulations, man. Congratulations. But congrats on MVP for a 60-game season. He's like, yeah, get on my level and win it for a whole season. So, I mean, but Freeman had a great season last year. Braves fans, calm down. He's going to get back to that. He's just too good of a player not to. Now, when it came to the vet, I wanted to go one way, but you and I talked last night, and I didn't want to take anything away from your team, and we'll get into that once we get to the teams. But I'm gonna go Tatis. I was kind of torn between him and Juan Soto because, you know, we have a card collector group chat that both of us are in, and a couple of our dudes, Jeff, big shout out to you, and Ben. But Jeff is a huge Juan Soto fan. So I was like, well, and it's something we chat about. We look for his rookie cards, and if any of us see a deal on him, we tell Jeff. And obviously, Tatis just coming back from injury. That was kind of what put me over the edge on him. It's just to kind of see I want to say his first at bat back, he hit a home run, but then went 0 for 5 after that. In a I think it was like the fourth longest game between the Dodgers and Padres, which, by the way, that series alone is going to be going to be 10 times worth the price of admission. I guarantee. The cool part is 2K crew. I guarantee this. I guarantee this. We're probably, when they play 19 games each, we're probably going to see at least 12 of those on TV. Yep. Just because, just the players that the Dodgers have. ESPN loves the Dodgers. MLB Network loves the Dodgers, even though they're on the West Coast, which East Coast bias, being a Red Sox fan, we usually get to see every Yankees-Red Sox series. But I think that's kind of shifting back. I think it's shifting to the West Coast with these electric young players. And now you have two teams that I think are just going to beat the hell out of each other. Yeah. I mean, literally and figuratively. Yeah. And because the first two games, we've seen fireworks in both games. Yeah.
And it started in the offseason. Once the Padres started making some of these moves and they bring over, the Snells and Darvish and Musgrove and it just, the fans started to talk like they were for real and that they were going to stick and that they could compete with the Dodgers. And of course the Dodgers fans are like, you ain't got shit on us. You're not,
little brother, get the fuck out of here.
You're not even close, and you won't be able. You can't beat us. And probably at this point where they're at, I still give it to the Dodgers by a pretty long shot. It has narrowed and they've gotten closer, but I think the Dodgers are still well above. And then they bring in
Bauer, your boy,
Bauer in the offseason, so that makes them even better. And watching that team last year is like, how can this team get any better? Well, they bring in the best pitcher from last season. They bring him on their team, so it's like they prove you wrong. But yeah, we were talking about it last night. That is the best thing for baseball right now. Like that, those two teams battling it out, bench clearings, altercations, stuff happening. To me, that is great for baseball. It's great to see it. It's great to see some fire in the game. You see stuff like that happening every single week on an NFL field, on an NBA court. You see it all the time. You don't necessarily see it very much in baseball. It's kind of, I'm not condoning it and saying it's great, but it's exciting and it's what us fans want to see. So, yeah, that's a series that not only do I look forward to watching that this season, but I look forward to watching that for the next 5 or 6 years.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because of the guys they have locked up on both sides of that coin. This is going to be a rivalry that, I mean, it's been there. It's been there, but it's been dominated by the Dodgers.
Exactly.
Not just recently, just because the Padres have been that bad. Even going back to when Adrian Gonzalez was there. I mean, that was probably the last time they've actually been relevant. And they weren't even really that good when they had him. They had him and a bunch of scrubs and maybe some timely pitching. And that was about it. So to say it's been a rivalry late in the last 20 years, I think you're very underestimating the word rivalry, because to have a rivalry, it has to go back and forth. It can't just be one-sided. And there's a lot of folks that are just, when I talk to baseball fans or even people that casually watch it, they're like, man, I can't stand watching the Red Sox Yankees just because it seems like they're always on. And unless you're a fan of that, which obviously I am, I love Yankees Red Sox series, especially when my Red Sox come out on top. But there's to the lay fans, it seems like that's all they see. Just because we're in Michigan, we're in the Eastern time zone, and unless you watch Fox Sports or Bally Sports or whatever the hell it's called now, to watch the Tigers, or whatever channel the Cubs are on. I can't remember. They keep switching the name of that damn thing. So it's not WGN anymore, folks. I mean, it's something total Marquee Network, I think now. And unless you're watching those two channels, I mean, if you're watching MLB Network, if you're watching ESPN, even though ESPN for whatever reason has been like Giants, and it seems like they in the Cubs. I want to say the Cubs play tonight on ESPN, but all right, go Tampa. Tampa just tied it up with the Yankees 1-1. Looks like the top of the third.
By the way, I fucking love the Yankees struggling right now. I hope it stays. But they have a track record for being slow starters.
Mm-hmm.
And
so you can never bury him.
Nope.
And Boone is way too good of a coach. I'm sorry. I love Aaron Boone and just the way he drives that team. This is temporary. This is temporary, and for my Red Sox, it is important to keep the pressure on while the Yankees are down, because you don't want to let them get too close too early and then just bypass you altogether. So for those of you, I do see a couple of you folks watching live, so if you have any questions, want to join in the conversation, go ahead and drop a comment, and I will feature you on the show. So we've done our vets. We've done, just to kind of recap for those of you that are just joining us, we're playing a game where 2Ks and I are choosing a pitcher, a vet, a rookie, and a team that we're going to keep an eye on throughout the season. And we're going to give you our reasons why we're excited about watching these. And the only rule is when it comes to the teams, we cannot pick one of our favorite teams. So 2Ks can't pick the Tigers, and I can't pick the Red Sox because that's way too easy. Way too easy. So I think we're on to our team now, 2Ks. So which team are you super excited about in 2021?
Yeah, I'm going with the Angels. I mean,
I don't blame you.
I think it's going to be very hard for them to. I think that's the best division in baseball right now. And especially with the way Seattle's playing. And Seattle was the team that they weren't. I mean, we're not even supposed to be talking about them right now.
That in Seattle has a ton of fucking prospects we haven't even seen yet, which is scary because some of those kids are amazing.
And Houston's going to be good. Whether you like them or not,
they're going to be there.
They're going to be good. And Oakland is always there. And their pitching is. I think this is their best pitching team they've had in years, and now they got some young kids coming up offensively, and then they also got their proven veterans offensively.
Chapman is probably one of the top three, if not top two.
Yes.
I think it's him and Arenado for third base. And they were, not to cut you off, but I was watching MLB Network last weekend, and I was watching an Oakland game, and they were talking about how they ran a poll with some baseball execs, and they said, give us the name of a guy who, he makes the most important role on the team out of anybody. He's the to kind of get back to the Bill Parcells. He's the straw that stirs the drink. The team goes as he goes, and there was a lot of baseball higher ups that said Matt Chapman, which. I think being on the West Coast, kind of, most people, he's kind of forgotten about. And he's playing on an Oakland team that I think everyone kind of underestimates. And he's probably one of the most undervalued players in the game, one of the most overlooked players in the game. And I don't even think we've seen even close to what he can do yet. So he was one of them that I was going to, I took a very hard look at, all right, is this going to be my vet that I choose? So if you guys aren't high on Matt Chapman, you should be, because this dude's a fucking stud. And they, ironically enough, with everything that Oakland's doing, and I didn't really realize it until like the second game I watched Oakland. I totally forgot that Chris Davis isn't there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, their perennial 40 home run guy plays a really good outfield, and totally forgot that they traded him. Had no, I was rather shocked. I was like, and I was like, man, I've seen the lineup now twice in 2 games. I haven't seen him. And so I Googled. I was like, well, maybe he's on the IL, not the DL, the IL. Nope.
He's the Andrews.
Yep.
In the Andrews trade.
Yep. So
Which, that's a trade that's like...
that was weird.
Yeah.
I mean...
You know, and then they just let Marcus Semien walk, let him go to Toronto.
Yeah, which...
And that put a hole in there, so they had to go get a shortstop. And, you know, Elvis Anderson's a great shortstop, but Chris Davis is one of the best power hitters in the game the last 5-6 years.
Especially in that bigger stadium, this Oakland. Yeah, yeah.
That was one that I didn't really know. You know, that didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I thought it made more sense to, you know, try to re-sign him, try to re-sign Semien, and just keep rolling with what you got. And you know, and they know they have these young pitchers coming up, and
a young shortstop in Pawson coming up. So we might be seeing Pawson earlier than expected.
And
I don't know.
And that might be part of the plan. They didn't want to, you know, get locked into Semien for, you know, an extended amount of time because they think that Pawson is going to be ready in a year or two, and you know how much more time do we really have with Andrus, and Andrus is a guy that I'm sure that they can slide him anywhere else in the infield and he's going to be just fine. If you can play shortstop for
you can play
15
second.
seasons in the
You can
major
play
leagues,
third.
you can play every position on the field. So
And he's always been talented. I mean, it's really weird to see him in an Oakland uniform after being in Texas for that long. And you know, we've kind of seen some of his production kind of slide a little bit after Beltre left. You know, and retired. You know, those two are absolute buddies.
Oh yeah,
always fucking around with each other.
Brother. He was like Beltre's little brother there for years. It was actually fun to watch. If you ever have any time, watch some of the YouTube videos of them just screwing around.
Oh yeah,
during games and some of the stuff.
While one of them's trying to field a pop up.
Yeah.
I mean, Andrus is trying to. Because the big thing with Adrian Beltre was he didn't like anyone fucking with his head. So, but Andrus would be standing right next to him while he's trying to field a fly ball in the middle of a game, fucking with him. So yeah, those two had probably the best relationship of any left side of the infield that I've seen in quite a while. And but Beltre was always fun to watch, and for those two to have that great a chemistry was awesome. But yeah, he's
gonna be a Hall of Famer real soon.
Oh yes. And Elvis Andrus just kind of floated into Oakland, still doing his thing, just being who he is. But yeah, I'm right there with you with the Angels because they have the best player ever.
Yeah, really, it's two things with them that are really intriguing is obviously Mike Trout, and then the Shohei Ohtani story is just awesome to me.
Yep.
When you have a guy that, I want to watch him every single time he's on the mound. I want to watch him all the time, but I want to watch him every single time he's on the mound because I just want to see him dominate. I want to see him get to that point, and I think it's coming. He starts throwing, you know, being more consistent pitching, throwing more strikes, getting on top, and not, you know, not getting to the point where he's at 80, 90 pitches in the fourth inning. He's got to be, you know, once he gets that part of it figured out, he's got everything. I mean, the guy can throw his gas.
Those 100.
I mean, yeah, he can burn you there, and then he can turn around on the other side of the plate and fucking drop dick for 450 some feet. And it's just, it's exciting to watch. And then you match that up with the best player on the planet, best player maybe of all time. And then you mix in, you know,
Rondon.
We talked earlier, obviously that, but we talked earlier about how big of a deal it was, you know, going for Boston with Alex Cora. How big of a deal is it for Mike Trout to finally have a manager now?
Yeah, this Joe Madden, Brad Osmus.
Yeah, Joe Madden, a guy that is proven, a guy that knows how to win, a guy that has done basically nothing his entire career but win, and to bring that mentality into and make believers out of these guys. You know, the only knock that Mike Trout has on his entire career is postseason play.
Yep.
And that's why this team intrigues me, and I'm fanboying hard on the Angels this year. I want them to make the playoffs. I want to see Mike Trout playing big time games with the big spotlight on him, because that's the only thing that we have not been able to see with him so far. Is we have not been able to watch, with exception of the All-Star game, we have not been able to watch Mike Trout and the biggest stage, and
Which he
that's what I
deserves.
want to see. Absolutely, and that's what I want to see.
And I'm right there with you because how can you not like Mike Trout? How can you not love Mike Trout? Watch what he's doing. Keep an eye on, and he's off to a great start so far, and which he seems to
Every
always does. But you're right with Ohtani. I mean, he's a lightning rod for just attention, just for what he does. No one else does that. No one pitches and hits anymore. And not only does he pitch and hit, he pitches extremely well and can hit extremely well. And for those of you who don't remember, he's coming back from Tommy John, even though we saw him last year, but he was strictly a hitter and not a pitcher. So looking forward, I'm right there with you. And if last I knew, the Angels are sitting atop that division. So hopefully, and Pujols is getting long in the tooth. He's basically just a DH at this point in his career. He might fuck around and play first base every now and again, but those days are few and far between.
Yeah,
and kind of a under the radar signing is with Anthony Rendon, who, if you remember, with the Nats was fucking on fire.
The reason why they won the World Series.
Yeah,
I mean, they wouldn't have even been there.
Him and Strasburg were Scherzer gets all the headlines, and Juan Soto gets a lot of the attention, and rightfully so. Those guys are great players. But you look at any Yankees team that won the World Series in the early 90s, and when they had their run, it was guys like Scott Brocious. It was guys like Aaron Boone that were making the impacts and winning games for this juggernaut of a team, which now we're seeing all those guys in the Hall of Fame now. So it's no wonder why they were so good for so long. And it's players. It's going to be players like Anthony Rendon. It's going to be players in their starting line and their starting pitching. They haven't had the greatest run at starting pitching. Let's be honest, and that's been one of their Achilles heels. And it's going to be interesting to going forward to see how Madden develops, or him and his staff develop these kind of unknown dudes. You know what I mean? And if anyone can do it, it's going to be Madden. Look back at Tampa. He's the one that kind of started that trend, started that basically system of grooming pitchers, and that's he was over there. Kind of David Price is the first one that comes to mind, and then just look at the string and slew of. For Tampa fans, it's kind of sad because they don't re-sign these guys; they trade them. Even going to the latest one with Blake Snell. These are homegrown guys. So if anyone can bring that system in, that's what a lot of teams need in baseball. I guarantee there's, out of the 32 teams, there's probably 25 teams that would gladly take Joe Madden as a coach. And maybe more. But for the Angels to get them, and let's be honest, Joe's a wine guy. He's a California guy. I'm going to go out on a limb and say he's going to retire with the Angels. He's going to retire, and this drought of the postseason is going to be over because he's going to figure it out. Why? Because he always does. He's that out-of-the-box thinker that most baseball minds don't even think like this. Had his time worn out in Chicago? Yes.
Yeah, probably.
And it wasn't between him and the players. It was between the front office.
I think a lot of it with him, I don't even know. I think a lot of it with him is his replacement just came along, and everybody around wanted him.
He's a fan favorite,
and they knew that if they didn't get him,
he's gone.
That they were going to lose out on him because somebody else was going to take him. So I think it was more his replacement just became available at that moment, and they just saw it and pounced. And
which I think is stupid.
Yeah,
I think it's stupid for Cubs fans to want paparazzi over Joe Madden. And I'm not taking anything away from Ross. Don't get me wrong. Because he's actually had a lot of initial success with the Cubs. I want proven.
Yeah.
I want proven. And it's kind of similar to with the Red Sox. Everyone wanted Veritek. But even before they signed Cora. And even once Cora served a suspension, it's like, all right, are they going to bring him back? And if they don't, are you going to bring in Veritek? Which Veritek is, I mean, obviously a Boston legend and has caught more no-hitters than any catcher in the history of baseball. Does that make you a good manager? I don't know. I don't know. Being a good AAA manager or AA manager, does that make you a big league manager?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No.
I don't know. But Cora's got the keys to the car. Madden's got the keys to the car. I think both of them are.
I don't think either one of them are going anywhere anytime soon.
No. Well, my team, since you didn't take them, I thought you were. I thought you were going a different route.
Yeah, I've changed my mind. I don't know how many times.
But I'm gonna go Toronto. And getting back to my vet, I was gonna follow Bo Bichette. That's one of my dudes. I collect him hardcore with his cards. It's like, you know what? Yes, and it's kind of weird to say Bo Bichette is a vet. I mean, it's only his second year. No, technically his second year. Last year was his rookie year, and kind of had an up and down start this year. He's had, games where he's hitting 2 home runs and walk-offs, and there's games that he's going 0 for 5, which it's baseball. I get it. That's going to happen, especially with a young player. And that's a weird list. Citizen stats leaders, highest career slugging percentages of third baseman: Miguel Cabrera, which is weird to see his name on a third base list. Arenado, A-Rod, Chipper, and Mike Schmidt. Very odd stat line, which I don't know how many games actually. Well, it would be in the same division when Miggy was a Marlin, so I guess he would have had some service time as a third baseman. But just a weird stat. No, getting back to the Blue Jays, like you and I have talked about multiple times. Where are they going to get the pitching? Where are they going to get the pitching? This young core that they're building around offensively and defensively is great. It is absolutely great. And where's the pitching going to come from? That's one of that, and obviously they're in the same division as the Red Sox, just to kind of keep an eye on them. But this is a team that can get hot and stay hot for as long as those bats are going to carry them. Because if the pitching holds opponents under 4 runs a game, I think that offense is going to have a chance, probably the majority of every game, to keep you in it. But we shall see, because there's definitely a huge hole there. Definitely a huge hole. Well, we are at that hour mark. 2Ks are creeping up on it. Man, this hour kind of flew by. I figured I was just kind of way we started out. I was like, man, we're gonna have to fill some time here. But no, we did extremely well. Why? Because we're motherfucking professionals. Not really, but we're desperately trying to be professionals. Let's put it that way. But anything else? Anything else you want to wrap up there, big guy?
No, that's pretty much it.
No, I'm for those of you that obviously are going to be listening to this on Tuesday, but keep an eye on this. At 4:00, we've got the the latest installment of the Dodgers Padres series, and let's see what kind of pops up today. We've got Blake Snell going against Trevor Bauer, so perhaps a low-scoring game. But with those two offenses, you never know. Yeah. And let's see if, and to be honest with you, San Diego has had a chance to win the first 2 games.
Yeah. It's
been their late inning hitting that has been their Achilles heel so far. And if we had Fernando Tatis Jr. in studio today, he'd be the first one to say he had 3 at-bats in the last 2 games to either put them ahead or tie. And he struck out all 3 times. So he would be the first one to say that, obviously I need to step my game up. But this young pitching staff of Snell's not that young, but, aside from him and Darvish, it's a very young staff, even the bullpen. You're going to see some growing pains from them, especially against an offense like the Dodgers, which the Dodgers are, if you're a betting person, which I've been doing a lot on FanDuel and Barstool Sports, and every time I bet the over on them, they win like 3-0, and the over is like 5.5. Mm-hmm. I'm like, all right, combined,
Yeah.
this is easy money.
Easy one.
This is easy money. 7.5, easy fucking money.
Mm-hmm.
No. So if you're a Padres fan, I'll give you here's the deal, Padres fans. I will give you my PayPal. Ship me a little loot. I'll throw a couple bucks every game on the over for the Dodgers for you, so that they'll hit the under, because I've lost every fucking time I've bet the over on the Dodgers. So I'll make you a deal, Padres fans. Hook me up and I'll hook you up. So let me know shoot me a message on Facebook and I'll give you my PayPal to kind of help you out. So just depends on how much you love your team. So, well, yeah, we'll definitely talk some more baseball, because that's what 2Ks and I absolutely fucking love. And this is the first of many. Mm-hmm. I know here coming up where it's kind of inevitable, we're probably gonna have to talk some NBA playoffs and some kind of Laker talk, because obviously that LeBron is the lightning rod right now, even though he's out, because where the Lakers gonna fall in this playoff run? Do the Lakers need home court advantage to win? Mm-hmm. Do the Lakers need this? Do the Lakers need that? Anthony Davis is on his way back, so they've been a 500 team without those two, which obviously you have two of the best players on the planet on the same team. They're both hurt. Obviously, you're going to take a step back. But it's with the Nets being compared to the Yankees of the 90s of buying a title, which to me, yeah, you trade for Harden, you sign Blake Griffin, which Blake Griffin is just a shell of himself. Mm-hmm. You sign LaMarcus Aldridge, who plays like 5 games and then retires, which is unfortunate. I mean, dude had an irregular heartbeat, said it's time for me to take care of me and my family instead of basketball. Yeah, kudos to you, brother. Yeah, kudos to you. For that. But even him has been, even when he was with the Spurs, I really don't think he really was that dude that he was before. So yeah, they're signing these aging veterans for the veterans minimum. Does that make him any better? No. Does it make him a little bit deeper? Sure. Mm-hmm. Sure. Would I rather have either one of those dudes on my bench than a random bench player? Yeah, because these guys are proven. Well, at least I'll give Aldridge proven more than Blake Griffin. Mm-hmm. But are they going to make a huge difference in the playoffs? I don't think so. With that Brooklyn team, it's going to come down to, are Kyrie, KD, and Harden healthy? Because none of them can stay healthy together. And for whatever reason, Kyrie keeps taking off games for personal reasons. I don't know what the fuck he's got going on, but to each his own. And
the NBA is just
boring.
It's not. It is boring, but it's also it's like fucking watching a soap opera. Yeah. It's just drama. Yeah. That's all it is. It's all drama. It's all show. And what happens between the lines on the court is that's like the second or third thing that they worry about. The young and the hoopless. Yeah, they bring in all the drama of everything going on in today's world is like the number one thing that the NBA tries to draw attention to. Number 2 is their stupid fucking outfits that they wear. Yeah. And then number 3 is on the scale is what happens when they're actually playing. I've never liked the NBA, and I've never been shy on this about talking about it, but I'm to the point now where I think my Turbo and 2Ks might just boycott the whole fucking thing. If it wasn't for Luka Doncic, he's the only thing that's saving it for me.
Yeah, I wouldn't be. And there's him and Cuban have made some noise saying that they think the play-in's dumb. I agree, but just line them up and play. Yep. Top 8 of each division, line them up and play. Line them up, because if you've followed us for any amount of time, you know that we loathe talking about the NBA playoffs because it takes 3.5 months to play the playoffs. Yeah. So pretty much June, July, and August, it seems like, even though I know it's not that long, but
That's what it feels like.
It seems like it's we could have a whole NFL season almost while the
during
time
the
the NBA playoffs take place. Oh man, Dave Winfield looks horrendous. Age is beating Mr. Winfield, but 2K crew, we'll get you out on that. Everyone have a great week. We will see you same bat time, same bat channel next week. And as always, Jim Rome, we're coming for you.